The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Merry meet everyone, and welcome to Stirring the Cauldron's Masterclass. I see the professor is walking up to the podium. So, take a seat, get comfortable. The class is ready to begin.
Meet everybody, and welcome to Stirring the Cauldron's Masterclass. Tonight, our professor is Jacki Smith. Now, Jacki is a teacher, a presenter, radio show host, reader, and healer, and has dedicated her entire life to the mission of normalizing the words witch and magic. She's also an author, and one of her books just happens to be called Do-It-Yourself Akashic Wisdom, Access the Library of Your Soul. And that's what the class is all about tonight. Now, as always, if you're listening to the live podcast and you're in your virtual classroom here, also known as the chat room, questions and comments are welcome. And if you're listening live and not in the chat room, join the other students at paraxradionetwork.com. All right, we do have a lot of ground to cover tonight. So, hi, Jacki, and welcome.
Hello.
This is a good show. I'm going to learn stuff. Yeah, I just might be afraid of what my books have content. It's just going to be scary. Anyway.
Oh,
but
never. Never.
No?
Never.
Oh, all right. You know, you get kind of, well, let's talk about one thing to get you started is, the Akashic Records is also called the Book of Life. And for those who may not know or be acquainted to the records, what they are, where they are, and how we can break into the library, which I like that, why should we know all this? Fill us in.
Well, the Akashic Records, they're like another dimension of consciousness, they're like, you have your dream state, right? Your dream state is another dimension, and it holds many levels of subconscious, unconsciousness that happens there. So your Akashic Records are another dimension of your own self. They're yours. You don't need special permission to get there, because it's the record of your soul's entire existence. So why would you need super special, extra secret squirrel permission to get there? Yours. And they've always been yours. And really, people go there all the time and they don't realize they go there. If you're a creative person, or if you're creativity, I love this quote that I heard yesterday. And the person who quoted it said it came from a seventh grader, and they don't know who said it. And the seventh graders, they had to write on the board, what is creativity? And the seventh grader said, creativity is really when you don't have the answer and you just keep looking for another answer. It's like, it's beyond the original obvious answer. You just keep looking. And I love that definition of creativity is looking beyond the obvious answer. So we're all very creative. So anytime you step into a place of creativity at all, you're kind of tipping into your Akashic Records. And there's a lot of people who are magical or tip into the magical world who are listening, because you're stirring the cauldron, of course. And when you're tipping into the magical world, you are tipping into the Akashic Records. And I like to call the Akashic Records your interface with the divine. It's the playground of the gods. Because what a better place to interface at this point, because this is the history of your soul's entire existence. So of course, this is one of the natural places where you will interface with the divine. So the other thing about your Akashic Records is that they are only yours. So it's also your ultimate safe space. So when you go into your Akashic Records, whenever I do a reading with someone and I'm reading their Akashic Records, because I like to just connect, do a heart-to-heart connection with them and connect into their Akashic records, really, I'm just viewing them. I'm not really in them. It's a cooperative. So they're in their own Akashic records. So I take them in there, and any changes or any healing that's happening is they're doing the healing with their divine allies, with the Akashic record keepers that are there, with the divine beings that are there, with their guides. And I'm a little more of a conductor, helping them understand all the symbology that's there because I'm really not in there. I can't go in there. They're yours. It's like saying, "Well, I'm just going to step right into your organs." I can't do that. It's just not possible because they're your Akashic records. I can't go mucking around. Because there's and we intersect. Our Akashic records will intersect naturally. Like my Akashic records and your Akashic records are naturally intersecting like a Venn diagram right now because we're influencing each other. But it's only at this moment where we are in agreement and we're influencing each other that they're intersecting. Um, but it's an ultimate safe space. So when you decide to go into your own Akashic records or have a guide to go in there and you're experiencing something like, let's say you're going to go and do some soul retrieval or soul part work and get rid of some soul parts that are just not healthy for you, and you see something that's scary, maybe there's a soul part of an abuser or something like that, they're not really there in your Akashic records. There's a representation of them. So you don't have to be afraid because you're in your ultimate safe space. But let's talk a little bit more about the word Akashic because it's a little bit more of kind of like an all-encompassing word. It's it's a word we've come to understand. It's come to like saying chakra. So we've come to decide collectively that that is a great word that describes the thing. And it's a Sanskrit word, just like chakra is a Sanskrit word.
Mhm.
And it came to us, that word came to us through the spiritualist movement. Madame Blavatsky brought and her team, spiritualist team. I'm not going to give her all the credit, but they brought this word and normalized this word for us through their group, and it means sky or ether. It's a place, and so and it's like it literally means another dimension of our being. So it and every organized religion or unorganized religion has its own version of this. So Edgar Casey talks about God's Book of Remembrances. Um, uh, um, it's even it's found it's mentioned in the Torah, the Old and New Testaments, the Quran, the Gnostic writings. I mean, you can the Book of the Dead is considered a version of the Akashic records. Everything has a variation of the record of your soul's entire existence. I remember studying the Kabbalah
Mhm.
several years ago, and they were explaining the top three Sephiras. There's so many different ways that people have explained how to pronounce that, but the top three spheres. And what they stand for. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here's here's writing it all out, here's containing it, and here's recording it. I'm like, oh, wait, what? This is the Akashic Records. I mean, even the Kabbalah, the top spheres on the Kabbalah are about the record of your soul's entire existence. So it's everywhere and it's in every religion. So whatever you call it, that's where it is. And I started playing with the Akashic records, understanding them or being drawn into them when I was like a baby psychic. When I was first getting into doing readings and learning that this is what I was experiencing. And I kept calling it falling into the stream of all knowledge. I just would like float along this stream and understand things. And then I was like, oh, where am I? What's going on here? And I would just get more information. And then one day I just was like plopped right into the middle of Akashic Records. And I don't remember getting that word before, and they just gave me that word. But one thing I've learned about getting into the Akashic Records or getting more information from spirit is you really have to have those neural pathways built. So they'll use your knowledge base and they'll use your imagination to share with you what they need to tell you. So you really have to have a knowledge base for them to give you information. So when you think you're imagining things, well, you are, but they're using your imagination to help you understand these concepts or this information that they're giving you. So sometimes it's limited to what you know and to what you can imagine, and sometimes it expands what you think you know and you imagine things bigger and greater. So we're going into the Akashic Records all the time, these brilliant moments of inspiration that you're in your Akashic Records. So it's nothing to be afraid of. And when you are going purposefully into your Akashic Records, it's also nothing to be afraid of. It's not like you're going to get the grand download of all life's existence. You're going to get what you can handle. You're not, your brain's not going to explode. You're not going to learn anything horrific about yourself that you can't handle. You're going to get the peace that you need to know today. You're not going to instantly know how to play the piano because
Oh,
you
darn
decide.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great. I know. I was taking a class on quantum jumping and jumping into different dimensions and lifetimes, which I'm like, oh, this is the Akashic Records. But that was a fun class to do and be able to relate it to this. And the instructor said, well, he was jumping into a lifetime and then he came back and he was able to learn piano really fast. But he didn't come back and immediately know how to, you know, play Beethoven, but he was able to learn very fast. Um,
Chopsticks.
yeah.
That's, well, I'll start with chopsticks. Yeah.
Right. Right. So so you can go into the Akashic Records and like want to align with different things. And so you can align with these different things, but to learn faster. And it also takes discipline to keep going, to keep getting that information because you can bring stuff back from your Akashic Records, but you're if you think about it, you're bringing back kind of like the ether of it. It's not tangible. So you're bringing back like wisps of it. So you have to keep up with it. You got to keep going back and back. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself
Well,
on
yeah, and you said that we go up there and we don't remember going, or didn't purposefully go up
Mhm.
there.
Right.
So why would we do that? I mean, usually you go somewhere because you have an idea of what you're going there for.
And here's the fun stuff about going into your Akashic Records. Well, if let's say you're a reader, you're psychic,
Mhm,
when you connect with the Akashic Records and go in there purposefully and add that to your skill set, your toolbox, your readings become clearer
mhm,
and crisper. And so instead of well, psychic versus Akashic. So when you're getting a psychic flash,
mhm.
and you're getting psychic intuition and psychic insight, it's more of a snapshot of a moment. Like you're understanding the aura and the what's in the now. And then when you're diving into the Akashic Records, you're getting the full picture. You're getting the backstory, the history of the person, and what's currently written for their future trajectory, but also their past and all of the things that connect it. But also, here's the beautiful thing about the Akashic Records: you can create change. And this is
Mhm.
my purpose, and this is why I wrote DIY Akashic Wisdom with my sister Patty Shaw, and this is why I bring Akashic Records into my readings, is that you can create change. And I've done this with so many clients. So, just the other day I had a reading with a person and they were saying, okay, I can't get through this block. Okay. Well, we go into the Akashic Records and we take a look. Well, what is this block all about? What is the backstory of this block? Is it a past life? Is it a current life? Is it a soul part situation? So we start to unravel the layers around it and create change and then say, okay, here's unraveling all the pieces and the parts and bring in the divine allies because we're in the playground of the gods and bring in the support system and then also go into the past because there's no past, present, future in the Akashic records because everything's in the now because all of the records are right here and say, oh, this happened in your childhood. Well, now we're going to look at the 5-year-old you and bring the 5-year-old you forward and rewrite that as much as we can and allow that to cascade forward. And then as much as we can and allow that to cascade forward and then and be able to change your present right now. Amazing changes can happen. And now you're not going to regrow a limb, but as much as is possible, change perspectives, change energy, change how you're interacting with the world. Now, the world's still going to be the world, but how you perceive and interact with the world can have a brand new perspective and a brand new feeling. Um, one of my favorite stories about this is a personal story. So there's something that happened in my childhood with my dad, and it stuck with me. So when I was little, um, my dad, I was laying on the floor watching Saturday morning cartoons, and my dad came up and he was tickling me, and I'm very ticklish and I hate to be tickled, and I thought it was my brother, and I was like, God damn it, stop tickling me, don't ever touch me again. And I turned around and it was my dad, and I'm like, oh well, it's you. You can tickle me. Well, my dad like threw his hands up and he was like, fine, I'll never touch you again. And I was little.
Mm-hmm.
And what's crazy is my dad stopped hugging me. I'm from one of 9 kids. So my dad liked to like I'm 6 girls in the family. So he would like hug on his daughters, like just like come up behind and like hug them or whatever. And he stopped doing that with me. 100% stopped doing that with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a moment of tension. You see how our relationship broke in that moment. He was probably hurt. I was hurt. So then my 5-year-old me was hurt. So you can see how there was that energetic break in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So as an adult, it really affected me. It affected me my whole life. Like I would see him interact with my sisters in a different way than he interacted with me. And I was a chubby kid. I've always been a plus size adult. And so I created this script that my dad didn't like me because I was fat.
Oh.
So you can see how this whole script played out and it built and built and built.
Mm-hmm.
So one day going into the Akashic Records as my sister and I are exploring this and learning what these Akashic Records are all about, I went back and we visited that day. And I went back to that moment and we changed. And my dad never remembered this moment. I said, "Remember, Dad, remember when I was a kid?" And this was before the healing. I said, "Remember when I was a kid and blah blah blah." And he's like, he has no memory of it at all.
Huh.
And I thought that was fascinating. Here, this is forming my life. This is forming my interactions with other men. This is, it's just there's a huge influence on my life, and my dad doesn't even remember it.
Yeah.
So, that's how memory works, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
a huge perspective for me. So we go back to Akashic Records and we work on healing this, and we do our work and we unravel beliefs and we unravel different things. And don't you know, the next time I saw my dad, he came up and he was hugging me and he was like doing the little thing, just the fun things he does with my sisters. And that changed the way my dad interacted with me.
Mm.
And it changed the energy between the two of us. I mean, that's just one of the stories between the two of us. And it's just one of the for instances of doing the work in the Akashic Records. And but what's really interesting from there, it changed the way I interacted with men in power. And so I didn't shrink from them. I didn't think that, oh, if I say something to them, it'll break a relationship. It was just a very fascinating change in my life. So those things that you can change in the Akashic Records and do that healing work in the Akashic Records, it changes it so fast and it changes it so deeply.
Wow.
And so when you work in the Akashic Records as well as working in your waking life, and you do it on all of those levels at the same time, it just changes on so many levels and in so many dimensions at the same time.
I got a question that kind of goes with that
Hmm.
from the chat room. She says, the Akashic records that are kept, are they about our humanness, um, how we live in humanity, or is it soul, or maybe both?
All of it. It's all of it. So the Akashic Records are everything. It's as when you're human, when you're in spirit, it's every intention you've had, it's every promise you've made. Um, it's every creative thought you've had. And it's so immense. That's why when you go into your Akashic Records, you get the thing that's important to the intention that you have. So as this is a master class, um, when I teach how to go into your Akashic Records, and there's many different ways, different teachers have different ways of teaching. What I find is the most powerful and simplest way to get into your Akashic Records is through your heart chakra. There is a beautiful doorway into your Akashic Records in the center of your heart chakra because that is the place of transformation. I mean, if you look at the different synchronistic energetic systems, the place of transformation is in the center of your chest. So to me, that was the most logical place to then go into this other dimension, which is a place of transformation for you. So I was like, well, is it there? Well, look, it's there. So there's the doorway to get in there. And that door, and over time, when I would go myself into my own Akashic Records, or I would take different clients through that doorway into their Akashic Records, I would see the door is different. One time the door looked like this beautiful cathedral door, or maybe it was a cave. So it was more of an entrance, a transitional liminal point. Or maybe it was just a regular, I'm walking in at the front door of my house, or it was like a kitchen door, but each door told a different story as to what my experience would be. What was I going to learn this time? Is it just like a regular house door? Or something is going to be a little more practical. If it's a cave, I'm going to go and do something a little more deeper, a little more shamanic, a little more soul work. Big cathedral door. Um, that's, maybe some intense spiritual work that I was going to do. Um, if it's a big beaded curtain, maybe, I took some mushrooms. I'm not sure. Um, but so it would just kind of talk about the experience, and it was part of the experience is what did the door look like. So going into your Akashic Records, and then what they look like when you got in there, it's not always a big old wooden library. Sometimes it's a beautiful forest. Sometimes it's a crystal cave. For me, sometimes it's the most comfortable room in the world, a big old couch with pillows, and I just need a place of comfort and quiet and peace. And I needed to have a great conversation with one of my guides to tell me it's okay. I mean, sometimes I meet my ancestors there. So it is going to well, I don't necessarily talk about Harry Potter so much anymore, but the room of requirement. And
Yeah.
it becomes what you need it to become, and that's the beauty of it. It's not as formal as one thinks. When I first started going to the Akashic Records, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna to the Akashic Records and I'm gonna look at the official book and I'm gonna read what's in the book. Well, okay, the whole thing is the records. So you may see a mirror there and look at something, or maybe there's this pool of healing that you can go and get cleansed. Um, Maybe there's a fire that you can throw the things that bother you into. So it becomes what you need it to become. What symbolism? It's very symbolic.
Hmm.
So when you go into the Akashic Records, it is all parts of your physical life, your spiritual life. There's no limits into what it's about.
Okay. Some people don't know much about chakras or how to
Okay.
work with them or where they are. So how would they find their heart chakra and use it to help get up there?
So just really in the center of your chest, your sternum, that hard part where your heart's beating, where that's the center of your chest. And um so when I take someone into their Akashic records, it's a simple meditation. And it's just taking a few nice settling breaths, nothing too special. Just close your eyes, put your feet on the floor, and just take a few settling breaths to slow your mind down. Just breathe. Just slow it all down. Just find some white space within your brain, within your life, and just let go of everything you're holding on to mentally, emotionally. And then as you breathe, allow your breath to become deeper in your body. Breathing into your chest deeper. And again, letting go of these big things that we hold on to a lot of big things all day. We hold our body really tight. We hold our neck tight and our shoulders tight. And just that easy breath. I mean, there's so many breathing techniques. And honest to God, if we just breathe slow and quiet is sometimes all we need. And just letting everything unwind and focus on the center of your chest. And just visualize an emerald green color in your mind's eye. Just breathe while you're focusing on the center of your chest, which is easy to do because your lungs are there. And just visualize that emerald green color in your mind's eye, letting everything slow down, letting all the things that you've been holding on to just crumble off you like dried mud. Just crumble off your body and your aura, falling down into the earth, just getting into the earth. And the more that crumbles away, the brighter the green becomes. And the brighter the green becomes, you can see in the center of this green space that you're visualizing, you can see a door. Sometimes it just starts off as like a little shadow. And then the more you let go of, the door becomes more apparent. And you don't have to visualize hard. It's like a remembrance. You're remembering what that door looked like. Just like you remember what the door looked like on your bedroom door when you were a kid. You just remember it. It's not hard. You just remember that it had a door handle and a door frame. And you remember what it was made out of. Was it wood? Was it plastic? Was was it a big old opening? You just remember what it looked like. Oh, yeah, it had carvings. or it was just something I just shoved and it moved out of the way. It got hung up on the carpet a little bit, so I shoved a little harder. And I put my hand on it and it opened. And then when you opened it, oh yeah, I remember what it looked like inside. Oh. And then when you opened the door, you felt something. You just remembered it. You got a quality. You had a feeling. Oh, it feels bright in here. Or maybe it feels warm. Or maybe it feels cool. Or maybe the floor feels like it's earthy. Or it feels like it's stone. And you just remember one thing. And then you remember the next thing. And then you walk into your Akashic record room. And this is the beautiful thing about visualizing this. You just take one little thing like, oh, it feels a little humid in here. Or and this is all the symbology that you get when you go in there. A lot of times people feel like they have to see it all right now. You don't. You're remembering it. And as you remember it, then you remember the next thing and the next thing. Did you ever play that game with your friends? And you don't realize you're playing that game when they go, "Oh, remember Bob? Bob, we went to school with Bob. Oh yeah, he sat behind you, and he always like did this." And like, "Oh yeah, Bob. Oh yeah, Bob. Did he have green pants? Yeah, Bob. He had green pants." And Bob always carried that backpack. So do you see how you put the pieces together?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when you're going into the spiritual realm and you're thinking about this and you're allowing this information to come to you, it's like those memories. And it 99.99% of us don't get the brilliant flash of what this is all about. We remember it piece by tiny piece.
That's a good place to stop for a minute, because we have to do a break, but I'm so relaxed now. I'm glad we're taking the break. So everybody stay with us and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Don't go away. There's more Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks right after these important messages. What if everything you thought you knew about time, free will, and reality was wrong? Unified reality theory dares to bridge science, philosophy, and religion to uncover the true nature of existence. Controversial? Yes. Mind-expanding? Absolutely. Find out what everyone will be talking about. Join the conversation now. Unified Reality Theory, now available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Get your copy today, because reality isn't as simple as it seems.
Oh, are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
Hi, this is Marla, and if you're enjoying tonight's masterclass and you want to hear it again, you'll be able to find it at the show's YouTube channel, which is Stirring the Cauldron Para X. And it'll be up there, well, forever. And you'll also find dozens of Stirring the Cauldron podcasts as well. And while you're there, why not subscribe? It's free. And whatever metaphysical area you're interested in, you'll find something to catch your eye, I'm sure. Well, thank you for listening in to tonight's class, and now I'll let you get back to your regular scheduled programming.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
And our teacher today is Jacki Smith, and her subject is the Akashic Wisdom and Records. And so we're going to pick up where we left off, and I have a question to get you started again. Once we get up there, is there always someone there to greet us?
Yes and no. There are spirits in the Akashic Records that I've discovered that I call them the Akashic Record keepers. Other teachers that I've read have called them the lords of the Akashic Records. There's different names. I don't always see them. They show up when I need them, when I'm a little stuck, and I ask for them. A lot of times I'm exploring on my own because I want to. But if you need someone, they're there. Need some spirit, they're there. But I want to shift the conversation a little bit about, we've been talking about like past and how the Akashic Records, it can help you let go of the past. But what about the future? You can use the Akashic Records to help craft your future. When I'm doing intention work, manifesting work, I open up my Akashic Records and I invite, I just kind of open them up. I make sure I'm within my Akashic Records when I'm doing my manifesting work, when I'm doing magic, when I'm setting my candles. I look in my Akashic Records and I'm like, okay, where am I going? Is there anything in my way? Is there anything I need to address? Is there anything that would stop this from manifesting? And is this the direction I want to go in? And I make it, I help craft my future. I look forward. I kind of talk to future Jacki. I had conversations with future Jacki. Hey, if I go in this direction, and I've been having a lot of conversations with future Jacki. Marla, you and I talked earlier about how this is a year of rip and tear transformation for many people. I don't think I'm alone in this. I actually don't know anyone. Every person I've talked to has been like, this year, oh my God, and everyone has their variations on it, but it feels pretty drastic for most people that I've talked to and their own variations. And as I'm talking to future Jacki, and I'm like, okay, what happens if I go in this direction? What happens if I go in that direction? And then I'll talk to past Jacki and future Jacki at the same time. Like, okay, past Jacki, we set this in motion. We anchored in this vision.
And things have changed for you now, because in the future you're going through a
So
change.
a lot of people that I've been talking to have been going through a lot of rip and tear transformation. So I've been talking to future Jacki as well as past Jacki. So in the Akashic Records, I'll say, okay, future Jacki, what does this look like? And does it still align with the vision I had that I created with past Jacki? And do these things all align? Or if I head in that direction, is it not going to align with this? Do I need to let go of that vision that I anchored in the past? So it's very fascinating how I pull my magic into the Akashic Records. Am I putting this in place in the right way? And do I have the help of my ancestors and divine allies? We have lots of conversations, and talking to different spirit and the Akashic Records becomes a lot easier. The conversation becomes clearer.
And you can call to have somebody, whoever you want, help you get through this, right?
Absolutely. Again, it's the playground of the gods, and you can interface with whoever you need to. So remember I talked about earlier that There's that, like you and I are, our Akashic records are interfacing right now because we're having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you want to learn something. You need to know how to strategize on stock investments.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I just pulled something out of the air. I don't know if you're doing that or not,
No.
but you're in the Akashic records, and this is very aligned with this class I took on quantum jumping. I'm like, oh, this is totally Akashic record work that I teach. So let's say you want to know this thing on stock investments because you want to do this. In your Akashic records, you can go in there and say, okay, how do I align with this? How do I get this information and align with this information, and where in my spheres of influence can I start to bring this in? Um, it's a little more, that's a little more in depth to go in there, but that's something that you can start to manifest your future in that way. Like say, okay, I want, I can't even think of somebody who's amazing with stocks. It just left my head. I had that in the tip of my tongue. This is what menopause does to you.
Yes. Yes. No.
It's it erases things from your brain.
Uh-huh.
Um, um, I know a person in my life, Jason Brown, who's really great with stocks. So that's somebody in a very close sphere of influence. So I would say, all right, Jason Brown, I would like to have our spheres of influence closer. I would like our Akashic records to get a little closer and align a little bit more so, we can do this. So I can gain a little bit more information on this. Well, so how do I get some more information on this? So there's ways to bring more information to you through your Akashic records. Oh yeah,
Mm.
really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. I've done that when I'm like working on business plans and I need more information on this. How do I negotiate more? I need this quality to come into my life. And so you can use your Akashic records to pull that to you.
Mm. And you're saying that like you and I were, I forgot the word. I'm getting it with you.
Sorry, it's catchy.
Yeah, it is, but it's okay. But everybody, you and I are getting together because we're talking and
Right.
whatever. But are the people that listening,
hmm
they're joining it in too, right?
hmm Right. So our Akashic records are interfacing right now
That's it.
because um um I'm influencing them right now. I call it spheres of influence, which is actually a political term that I've made a spiritual term. That when somebody is influencing in your life, you're in my sphere right now. You're in my sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for that honor that you have stepped into my sphere of influence. So
Yeah,
there's so you can go into past lives in here, you can do healing work in here because you're already doing it. So we step into our Akashic records so often, just like you step into your dream world. People doing lucid dreaming, you step into your dream world very consciously to understand that. And there's another thing that I've done in the Akashic records. You know how I said that no one can get into your Akashic records,
hmm
but you can interface with someone else's Akashic records. So if you, Marla, if you and I were having a fight,
hmm
not that we are, but if we did, not that we would, but if we did, um, and I sat down, went into my Akashic records, and asked to interface with your Akashic records. And I asked my higher self and your higher self to have a conversation to heal our to heal our argument
hmm
and to communicate better. That's another way you can do to not to I'm not trying to manipulate you, but I'm trying to heal the communication, to communicate better with you, which
hmm
I've done with my husband, I've done with my daughter, I've done with my sister, I've done with really significant people in my life.
It's important. Important to be able to do that.
So, and some of the ways that you can do that, we talked about going into the Akashic Records and you change the way the room looks. Like I'm going to sit down and I'm going to ask for a chair to be on the other side of me, and I ask for a representation of that person to be in front of me and speak from my heart about how much I care about them. Or sometimes maybe I just need to scream,
Hmm.
but they're not here in the room with me so I can get all the things out. Let's see, another thing I've done, I've done like a little scream therapy in my Akashic Records because I'm a little mad, but getting all that out so I don't have to carry that with me.
Well, that's good. So, there's a comment and a comment. Uh, it's a question and a comment, kind of.
Okay.
So, can you determine your purpose in the next steps in the records?
Oh, that's some of my favorite to do, um, is to help find my destiny. And I have a class I call it the destiny game to help find the clues to what my next destiny is. Um, yes, there's a lot of information that you can get of like what's my purpose in life? And I don't know if you get the full picture of what your entire purpose is, because you can get it retrospectively. I'm like, oh, I get why I was there. But to really understand, like, oh, I'm in this room because I need to change this person's life, to have that information before you step into a room is is not necessarily helpful. Sometimes you need to just be in the room and not know why you're in the room. Um, but to understand, oh, I need to go into that room. Like I went to, I didn't want to go to an event last week. I'm not going to this event. I don't want to go into the event. I don't want to go. I don't want to people. And I sat down and meditating. I'm closing out my day. And, and it's like, you're going to this event. I'm like, damn it, I'm going to the event. And I went to the event and it was a lovely event. And I'm glad I went. And I needed to talk. There's some people I needed to talk to.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it was for me or for them. And I don't know what the outcome is going to be yet. But I know I needed to be at the event. So there was a purpose and it was part of my destiny, but I don't have the entire picture of it. But it helps me put the pieces and the clues together. A destiny is getting a clear picture of your destiny and your purpose in life is a very retrospective situation rather than a future understanding. That is more of a trust situation of that you're going in the right direction than uh, like, okay, I know that I need to sing. That is my destiny to sing. I'm not sure why I need to sing, but I need to sing. And that's kind of all you're going to get.
Hmm.
Um, and then when you're 150 and you look back and you say, I know why I needed to sing because my singing uh, stopped a war. But there's no way that I would know that.
Hmm.
Um, so you get clues along the way. You don't get the
Yeah.
whole picture.
All right. Somebody is asking, you can open the book in the future and know how long you're going to be on the planet, where
Hmm.
you're going to leave, or, they don't tell you that.
Um, I have never found that. If somebody knows that, then they have a gift that's different than mine. To know when you're going to leave the planet is kind of reading the end of the book before you've read the whole story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is not something I pursue. Um, and in my 40 years of being a reader, there's only one time I've ever gotten that in a reading, and that is because the person was in the midst of dying.
Oh, okay.
And that was like turning cards over, and I'm like, oh, oh, I don't know what to do with this reading.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know what to tell you, except um, hug everyone you know. Um, and they already knew that they were dying. And I was like, this was not
Yeah.
nice to do to, and I think I think I was like 22 at the time. So that was not nice to do to a very young reader. But anyway,
They were testing you. That's what it was.
that's 100% what was going on. And I did not know I was doing a fundraiser and I was asked to come and do this fundraiser as a reader and I would earn tips. And I did not know that this was an AIDS fundraiser. I was very young. Um, no one warned me. Then I learned to ask what the fundraiser was, only to be prepared. Not that I wouldn't have gone,
Mm-hmm.
but I would have been prepared. Anyway,
Yeah.
life lessons. But to answer your question, I've never found that. Even when my mom and my dad, when my mom, I knew my mom was not long for this earth,
Mm-hmm.
because she had started talking to her dead ancestors and talking to the angels. Um, and that's usually a sign that they're going to pass soon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still couldn't get a read on that. And I was like, oh, all right, how long is she going to be here? And it's like, I still couldn't get a read on that because that's, what happens when it happens. Because here's one of the things, a big thing that I learned in the Akashic Records is because you can change your future.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely can change your future. You can change your destiny. You can choose a different one. I've seen that happen as well. I had a client who's like, my destiny is to head in this direction. She's like, I don't want that. I don't want to do that. This is not something that I want to do. This is not a, this is that feels like a burden that I don't want. I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? I want to do this over here. I said, well, you're at a crossroads and this is what you're going to do. So you're not, I didn't say this is what you're going to do. So this is the choice that you're going to make. And I
Mm-hmm.
caught up with her later and she goes, I went in this different direction. And man, am I happy. Maybe that was her destiny to do that and she had made that decision. But in the reading, in the session with her, and I did a couple of sessions with her, it was like, I don't want to go in that other direction.
So
Even
sorry, but does it happen immediately change, or does sometimes it takes a really long time to change? Because some people are going to say, well, in the next couple of months, things are going to be bad and, I need to switch. Can it get it that easy or
um it it uh it depends on readiness. I mean,
Mhm.
I hate that. It all depends, but it really is,
Yeah.
it's a series of things. So some change can be immediate because you are ready for it and you've been building up to it. So in my experience for my own life, I have, and the same thing with manifesting work and magical work.
Mhm.
Um, you cast that spell and boom, it's like it's a miracle that happened. Similar
Mhm.
with the Akashic Records.
Okay.
You go in, you do the work, and like, wow, look at this cascading effect in my life. And then there's the like, okay, I did this work. I see the needle move just a little bit. I'm going to go in and do more work. I see the needle move a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more. So sometimes there's a lot of heavy lifting that has to happen to make this change
Mhm.
and make these shifts. And then you look back later in life and going, oh, that happened pretty fast, even though it's months and months and years of your life. But I look back, um, at a really difficult time in my life, um, decades ago. And I'm feeling a repeat of it right now in my life. And I'm like, well, I got through that pretty good. I should be able to get through this pretty good. And I'm like, why is it taking so long? And then I looked back at my journals during that time and I went, oh no. Oh, that took years. I'm forgetting that was actually years.
Mhm.
I condensed that to like 10 minutes. Um, so it's see how that perspective was pretty relative
People
in
are
that moment.
impatient. We're all impatient. We want to
Mhm.
have it due right now. And yeah, it's true. You can't learn to roller skate when you get them on the first
No.
time, and you can't,
It's like
yeah.
it's like you forget how much a tattoo hurts.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about getting another tattoo, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And then you go back to the tattoo parlor and the people, or like when you're having a kid, or you go back and you're like, oh, that really sucked. Forgot how much that hurt. Um, just so change it so it is relative to how ready you are and then how much work you're going to put in. So there's even miracles take work.
Mm-hmm.
Even miracles take work. So, and sometimes miracles are not a blessing. And it
Mm-hmm.
goes back to that um that you win the lottery. People think that winning the lotto is this great blessing, but then you watch how people's lives fall apart.
Yep.
So they call that the bread of shame in the Jewish tradition. It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's that curse. I wish for you to get everything you've ever wanted. It's actually a curse.
Uh-huh.
Because when that happens, what do you do with it at that point? When you have ever suddenly have everything you wanted, you haven't earned it, so you haven't your thermostat hasn't raised slowly so you understand how to handle this change in this shift and change in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with that. Although this is not necessarily an Akashic record lesson at that point. This is more of a life lesson. But
Well,
back to
same. Yeah.
but kind of same. But back to the Akashic records and in doing the work as you heal a little more. In the end, so one of my philosophies is that magic equals healing equals change equals magic. It's a cycle. It's all the same thing. So Akashic record work is healing work, which is also magic work, which is also creating change in your life. So you have to have that willingness to change. If you don't have that willingness, because if you're doing this same old thing, if you're stuck in that same old groove, in
Mm-hmm.
the record that dates me. But if you're stuck in that same old pattern over and over again, if you're not willing to make that change and do something different, you're going to stay in that same place. No matter how much healing happens, you will return back to that same old pattern.
Yeah. Well, we've got to go.
Oh,
Um,
already?
yeah, it went fast. That's why you're going to come back sometime and do other things. But give your website out because people want to know maybe find you and maybe
Absolutely.
take a class or reading or whatever.
Yeah, I'm my books are open for readings. I had stopped doing readings for a couple of years so I could focus on other things, but man, did I miss it. So I've opened my books for a couple readings a week, and you can find me at coventrycreations.com and just look for readings and you'll find me. And I do my Akashic Record sessions again, and you can book a reading with me right there. And of course, you can find my candles, and you can find the
Yes.
DIY Akashic Wisdom book there too.
See, that
Yeah,
everybody needs to go over there because there's a lot to see.
there's a lot to see. Coventrycreations.com.
Yay. And so, yeah, thank you for being here tonight. I
Thank
mean,
you for
this is
having me.
good. Well, again, you're going to do another class down the line. And,
Absolutely.
and I want to thank everybody who's listening in as well. And until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Stirring the Cauldrons Masterclass. Please join us on the last Thursday of the month at the same time for another great class and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2024. The Holiday Weasel by Kevin MacLeod is licensed through Incompetech.
Excellent.
Okay, I got to read this, Jackie. She said in the chat room, well, once again, we had a 5 out of 5 Apple Master Teachers this week. Great,
Oh,
great show. Thank you, Jackie, for sharing this with us and hope you come back soon.
nice.
And somebody else said, great guest and show. So
Thank you,
yeah,
hon.
yeah, you got a following now.
Yay. I'm glad. I'm glad we
Mhm.
did a little impromptu mini meditation.
Yes, that was neat. Yeah, that was good. But it made me, I'm sitting here and going, oh, okay. And I'm supposed to be watching the clock to do the break. And I'm like, this is good. Yeah, yeah. And see, and people are taking it, it's exercises and they're doing something again, not just listening to what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so glad I did this. This was actually exactly what I needed because you get into your day to day and you forget, oh yeah, I gotta do my shit. I gotta
Hmm.
do my work. And then I'm so glad it got a little we got a little back and forth. It kept the energy moving.
Hmm. Hmm.
I love that. Keeping the energy moving is important.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy enough. And, with the questions that come up too,
Mhm.
yeah, so it's fun. So, find something else you want to do and we'll get you on the calendar somewhere.
I got a class I'm going to be launching soon, an online class. So when that starts to launch, I'll holla.
Okay, that's a good thing. I will send you the link for the where this is going to be. It's going to be all over the place actually, but I'm going to send it to you for the YouTube channel. And
Oh,
but Podomatic now has spread it out, so there's like 7 or 8 different platforms that this is coming out to, like Spotify and Google podcasts. I mean, all over the place.
cool.
So yeah, this is good.